Welcome to the 12th episode of Mayor's Mixtape. I'm Haley Sue Robinson, Director of Public Affairs for the City of Pueblo.
City of Pueblo Mayor Heather Graham.
Chief of Staff Brian McCain.
We didn't introduce ourselves on the last episode, so I had to make sure that we introduced ourselves for this one.
People know who we are.
I would hope so. We are available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and you can also watch us again on local channel 17. There are lots of opportunities to get this podcast, so share with your friends, like, subscribe, and rate us. Don't forget, you can also submit questions or a topic suggestion. You can email us at mayor@pueblo.us. So with that, we'll get into episode 12 of the Mayor's Mixtape. Last night we had city council, went a little bit late.
Yeah, City Circus.
Is that what we're calling it today?
Was late night.
It felt like that.
It was
okay.
late night.
So last night there was a lot of discussion about grants. We first had the Colorado Energy Office grant of $120,000 for a full-time energy coordinator for the city, and that ordinance generated a lot of discussion. Mm-hmm. Did you want to talk about why this position is necessary, or even the conversation about what it looks like to potentially continue this position in the future after the grant has finished?
Yeah, so this was a grant that we had applied for quite some time ago, and we were awarded it a couple months ago, knowing that the city council would not approve any additional positions for the city of Pueblo. We had to reach back out to them and see if we could use the dollars to hire through contract. Okay. So $120,000 worth of a contract for an energy coordinator. They approved that, so we took it to city council to see if they would also agree to it. There was a lot of discussion about not wanting to hire any more full-time employees, which has been a talking point since the budget. No full-time employees, no employees have been hired except for firemen for this year's budget. So I think that they understood the point after that it was just going to be a contract. Yeah. I think it's important, especially as we continue to find ways to cut back on our energy rates at the city with the 2A ballot issue that failed, essentially, for the city, that we're going to have to start keeping better track of our energy costs and trying to mitigate them within the city.
So this position would be responsible for assisting with like energy auditing.
Energy auditing, yeah.
Consumption throughout city buildings.
Yeah, the city has 300 properties that we take care of. So
okay,
it's a lot. It's a lot of
it's
invoicing.
A big undertaking.
It's a big undertaking to keep track of. Make sure nothing is missed and try to find ways, try to find grants, things that could be helpful to the city.
And I know you also mentioned at council last night, council has the option or the ability not to fund the position once the grant is expended. And so I think that's maybe an important note, that there's always a choice with how to move forward.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all expenditures are up to the city council and how the city's money is spent. So it's interesting, though. We've heard Councilor Gomez specifically ask for the city to hire additional grant writers, but then vote grants down when the city gets them. So I believe he voted this grant down of $120,000 when the city only had to put a $6,000 grant match, and the next grant also down for e-bikes. So I'm not sure which types of grants the city council is looking for the city to obtain, but any kind of free money the city should be taking in and trying to use it in the best way possible.
Well, and I know that you've had plenty of discussion when we're applying for grants, is it the right fit? So it's not like we're going to bring forward grants that don't really make sense.
No, every grant that we apply for is very well thought out on how it can either be used for capital or infrastructure or contract employees to better the city as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of bettering the city, that's what the next grant on the agenda was last night. It was for an e-bike program, and it's really kind of to help us incentivize commuters for our part-time employees or even seasonal employees. And And then there was also a piece where you took some excess remaining funds from the MLK bypass signage.
For the grant match.
For the grant match, yep. And this is for city employees that earn less than 80% of the area median income. And it's for income qualified permanent employees. So talk about this e-bike program and why it's a good
It's a
fit
great
for us.
incentive for city employees. The city of Pueblo has over 800 city employees, so it's always good when we can incentivize or find new and improved ways when it comes to transportation for our employees. So I think it's a great thing, especially for part-time employees. When we think about part-time employees in the city, it's usually Parks Department individuals, and so I think that it can go hand in hand with being able to get an e-bike to ride to work and being a Parks employee. It's exciting for the city. Again, free dollars to be put into our community and to our employees. And so we're thankful for these types of grants that go back to the very people who are providing the services for the community.
Well, and I think, e-bikes, e-scooters, things like that are becoming more and more popular. And so to be able to offer that to employees as a benefit when working here is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is
I'm
exciting.
glad it passed.
Okay, and then finally, this is actually a grant that you talked about previously, but last night the Department of Local Affairs, the $25,000 grant was approved. That one was approved 7-0 by City Council, and that was specifically for the shelter.
Yeah, so this is going to be a planning grant the city is going to utilize to do a master plan for the city shelter.
Okay.
It'll talk about infrastructure needs, capital needs, what grants we could potentially obtain, how our dollars should be spent. The city is getting ready to award the RFP, so City Council is going to see first reading of that on the May 26th City Council agenda for Safe Side Recovery. So we're excited about our new partnership.
Cool.
Moving forward, also yesterday we were bringing another partner on to have a one-day clinic at the shelter. It's going to be the Pueblo Community Health Center.
Oh, wow.
So they have a homeless resource office on Grand, and they're going to have a additional office space where they'll provide services on Thursdays at the shelter, where the unhoused community will be able to go, and it will be first come, first serve, kind of like a pop-up.
Almost like a satellite campus or something.
Satellite campus, yeah. So a big thank you to Donald Moore and his team.
Wow.
For coming together with a partnership with the City of Pueblo and being able to provide that service.
So it really is starting to become more of that wraparound service area right in one location at the shelter.
Yeah. So we're going to start with 1 day a week and kind of see where we go. They're looking to start the clinic on June 5th. Thursday, June 5th will be the first day.
So it's coming up really quickly.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's something we've been working on for a few months. We had to wait till the RFP was awarded, though.
Okay.
In order to get the plan set.
And going back to this DOLA grant, there was not a match required?
No, this was just free money.
Great. Okay, cool. Speaking of controversy and lots of discussion last night, this seems like a topic we have talked about ad nauseum, but I don't think we've actually really talked about it here on the podcast, just generally speaking at the city. The bathhouse.
Yeah.
So last night, there was plenty of discussion. There also was a Chieftain article that came out yesterday, and it was regarding the RFP that recently was put out and that the city did not award someone for that RFP. Can you talk a little bit about that process and what it looked like?
So the city has been working for years and years and years to put enough money aside to redo the bathhouse at City Park, the tennis court facility, in order to offer a better, more state-of-the-art complex with the conference rooms, upgraded bathrooms, because that bathhouse is very old. It has asbestos. It has issues with the foundation, and so this has been a project that the Parks Department has really just been putting a few $1,000s away every year, I think, for like the last 10 years. So the City of Pueblo was awarded a grant. We had general fund dollars, and we were going to use ARPA dollars to renovate and construct a new tennis facility in City Park. Originally, City Council was supportive of it. It was the only thing I have vetoed to bring it back to the table.
So your first and only veto.
Yeah. So that we didn't lose out on the $200,000 that we had already spent, because now that money has been wasted as far as design and the architect work. Ultimately, the city council ended up voting down all of the funding sources, and a lot of it was ARPA dollars, so another grant.
It's like over $500,000.
Yeah, it was a large
ARPA.
I think it was 900,000.
Okay.
In total ARPA dollars that were going to be used. So city council votes that down. So all funding, bathhouse stops. So in the meantime, we had a select group of citizens coming to city council, voicing their concerns, their comments, saying that they would like to take over the bathhouse facility and renovate it for a much lower cost than the city, the experts, the staff was saying that the cost would be. And so we sat down and put an RFP together for this group to be able to apply to renovate the facility. So anytime there's anything involved with the government, it has to go out to RFP. It's not just something that we award. It's not just something that we say, Joe Smo, you may not be a licensed contractor. Come on and renovate this building. That's not how the government works. So we put the RFP out. The applicants asked me for additional days because they weren't able to get the RFP done in a timely fashion. City granted them days. It went through the bid process. There were 3, I think, different department heads that were on the internal bid review. I was not one of them. I did not see the bid. And the bid was turned down because it did not meet some pretty significant areas that the city was looking for.
Yeah, and I think we have the mandatory requirements that were listed that they didn't meet.
So number 1, the proposal stated intent to pursue historic landmark designation, which was prohibited. And so we did not want the bathhouse to have a historic designation on it because once a historic designation is put on something, it is very hard to remove it. It would be very hard to take it down. You would have to spend a lot of extra money.
I feel like a limiting factor.
It is a limiting factor. Similar to Black Hills 5 and 6. So City Council years ago, right over here, put a historic designation on 5 and 6. And now you see.
Which is why it's sitting there.
Still sitting there year after year, right? So we didn't want anybody to be able to put a historic designation on the bathhouse. The second was non-compliance with restroom fixture requirements. So the city asked for a certain amount of restrooms to be provided based off of capacity in the area with the tennis courts, with the state tournaments that come down. That was not met.
Okay.
I think this is the big one. Lack of financial guarantees or committed funding sufficient to complete the renovation and sustain ongoing operations. So we know that the bathhouse was going to cost the city a little over $3 million. So in order for us to turn over a piece of city property for somebody to do renovations on it, they would have to have a pretty substantial guarantee. Financial background guarantee, in which obviously this outfit did not. So I would say that those were the 3 biggest reasons why the RFP was not able to be met, and the team had to turn down the proposal.
And I think one of the things in the financial guarantees, I know there was mention of grant funding. Was that grant funding already secured?
No.
It was proposed.
No grant funding
had
been secured.
Okay.
No actual dollars, I don't think, had been secured that were going to be able to sustain the reconstruction, renovation of the bathhouse.
Okay.
When the city puts out an RFP for anybody to answer, whether you're a contractor or you have to be licensed and bonded, you have to have the credentials that you need, especially when you're going to be working on or taking on a city project or building. This is not new. This is how we protect taxpayer assets.
Okay. So, liability insurance and
all the above.
Yeah.
Licensed contractors.
Check those boxes.
Licensed architects and engineers.
Okay. And this RFP didn't have those things?
No.
Interesting. Okay. So I guess what happens now?
So I've kind of let this up to the city council now. So they've voted down all of the funding sources last December, I think it was.
Beginning of December last year.
So I had, kind of given them the timeline of what would happen if they did that. They did it anyway.
Like we just hosted girls state tennis.
We just
last
hosted
week.
girls state tennis. Yeah, tons of people.
Hundreds
down there.
of
we were down
people.
there. And kind of what the options were going to be. So now that the RFP, was not answered, there was no proposal that was awarded. It's really going to be up to the city council if they want to dedicate general fund dollars. I think the building should come down in the way that it is now. I mean, we had the asbestos testing done, so there's some holes in the walls. We thought that the building was coming down and a new building was going to be built. So it's really going to be up to the city council and what they propose to me. So.
Okay. So we'll see if anybody comes forward with a solution.
Yes, we shall see.
Okay. Switching gears a little bit, now that we've covered city council, it's National Police Week. And so we want to give a special shout out to Pueblo Police Department. But last week you attended the community meeting with Chief Noller. That was for Quad 3. Is there anything in particular that he covered at that meeting that maybe you want to share with folks?
He just went over the calls, like what kind of calls come in, the top calls that come in for Quad 3, which is Bessemer, what businesses could potentially do to help safeguard their businesses with our program at the police department where they come out and do the environmental study.
The SEPTED.
Yep. Obviously, the unhoused community was talked about a lot and what the police could potentially do when those issues arise. Again, we talked about how the police are limited when it comes to loitering and trespassing. The individuals would just be issued tickets, not necessarily removed. So there was a lot of frustrated business owners. There was a lot of frustrated landlords that were there to voice their concerns. And so, we just tell it how it is. This is legislation has tied our hands. This is what we're available to do and not to do. With the shootings in the police department, we are significantly understaffed right now with all the people we have out. So if you fired your weapon or you were part of it or you were shot, there's time frames until you can come back to work, until you can be on the streets. And so we are working really with a skeleton crew right now when it comes to the police department. I think the chief said that we had 140 active bodies that were out. The city of Pueblo's police department is authorized for 231. So really down 90 officers when it comes to officers that are on light duty, open positions that we have, and then all of the officers that were out for the shooting. So I know that's
taking a significant toll.
Taking a significant toll. The call volume is up, 50 calls holding pretty much all day, every day. We're hitting summertime, which is the busiest time for the police department. So they're really working at proactive ways to try to address some of these issues. Chief Noller is going to be presenting to the city council, I think, in a couple of weeks, and he's going to propose at the city council authorize hiring more CSO officers to help with these lower level reporting and crime that we have a lot of the community members voicing their concerns with. And so that's a proposal that he's going to be bringing to city council. It's a lot easier for us to hire CSOs. It only takes about 4 weeks instead of the 48 weeks that it takes to be a police officer. They can still take reports. They can still go and collect evidence. And so we believe that it might be a good use to hire some more CSO officers to help in the community.
Okay. So there's some solutions despite the fact that we're down in staffing.
Yeah, and then also, during the summers, we'll have an additional 10 officers from the SROs that are not in the schools. So they'll be coming on in June. Yesterday, we graduated 8 officers.
Yeah, that was a really...
class of 74, which is one of our larger classes. So 8 new officers also. So, I mean, we're trying. But when you have 4 officers shot and many officers who are involved in those shootings, people are kind of put on the sideline until they meet the marks.
Sure. And I think it's important for folks to understand. So we had 8 officers that graduated yesterday. However, and you touched on it a little bit, there's that 48-week window.
Yeah, a year.
And when we have those officers graduate, they're now paired with folks on the streets. So they're not alone in a police vehicle. They're not, as Chief Noller likes to say, like a true police officer that we can count on as an extra body yet, until they're able to be on their own once they've completed all of that training.
Yeah.
So while they're sworn personnel now, it's still difficult.
It is. But police department is still kicking butt. I mean, maybe we could post this on, the information that was presented about Part 1 crimes and how it's down significantly.
It's pretty incredible what we've seen.
Last year at this time we had 11 homicides. We have 4 right now. So you're seeing a huge decrease when it comes to Part 1 crimes.
Well, and it's not just homicides. It's
arson, burglary, aggravated assault. They're all down.
Yeah.
But they're down from the high rise of 2020. So
correct.
Even though we might say it's down, it's not down to what it was before 2020.
Yeah. That benchmark of 2019 is pretty key for the public to understand. But it seems like we're making some significant progress despite the fact that our staffing levels are difficult, or even, as you mentioned, going into the warmer months. I know that's when dispatch sees their high call volume.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So see a cop, think a cop.
Okay.
That's what we want to say.
Okay. Well, and especially during National Police Week, I think that's important.
Yep.
Great. Okay. I think that's all we have for updates today.
Yeah. I think so.
Did you have anything, Chief of Staff?
Yeah, CML's in town tonight.
Oh, yes.
So the Colorado Municipal League, they're coming in for their regional meeting, so we're going to interact with municipalities from the region. I think there's like 38 or 40 people that are signed up.
Yep.
And it's a good opportunity for them to see not only our community, what we're doing, but to share ideas, thoughts, pick their brains about what they're doing in their communities to deal with everything from crime to sales tax and what their solutions are, and just kind of brainstorm and steal some ideas, and they steal some from us. So it's always good to see them in town.
Yeah.
Oh, and Friday. Do you want to talk about Friday night?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so we have the dedication ceremony for the Sister Cities Commission, and we have folks from Chihuahua, Puebla, and Bergamo. So 3 of our sister cities, and we'll be down at the Pillars Park, down at the levee, and we can't really call it a reveal because the mural is complete. You could go see it today. But we have some special guests in town on Friday. That's at 5:30. That'll be fun.
Pillars Park. Yep,
Pillars Park. Very excited. So, yeah, lots of good things coming up. Plenty of things to enjoy here in town. So
busy week.
It's always a busy week. Okay. Thank you for the update. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, or you can suggest a topic. You can email us at mayor@pueblo.us. We'll see you next week.